Alrighty then, we are back once again to talk about Naruto. Believe it! And now we're finally getting to Naruto Part 3 of the series, where, last we left off, Naruto had finally become respected by all the villagers and saved everyone from pain. And then now starting off Part 3 of Naruto, we get into a filler arc, the past arc, where basically in this arc we get a bunch of boring, nostalgic flashbacks while the village is being rebuilt. It's totally pointless, and some of the episodes are just awful in this filler arc. It's just like, we did not need to see all this. We really did not see it. Would you... It's just a bunch of boring side stories about stuff that was happening in the background. Like, do you want to see a flashback story about when Naruto fought against some low-level thugs in the Land of Waves? No, I don't want to see that. That's why it wasn't in the story originally. But for some reason now that we're have dealt with pain, we're just flashing back to all these events that they all happened in the series, but we didn't get to see them for some reason chronologically, and the reason was because they weren't interesting. But for some reason we're going back to them now. Just like I don't know, the episode's just really boring. There's not much point to them. There's this whole flashback filler about Naruto being hunted by the CIA. I mean the Anbu, because Tsunade thinks he has a deadly disease, but it turns out he doesn't have a deadly disease because it's filler and it doesn't matter. So yeah, that happened. There's this episode where Naruto is fighting against a fucking ostrich, and Rock Lee is boxing with a kangaroo. It's shit. There's no point to it. It doesn't matter at all. It's really incredibly boring throughout the whole way. There's this episode where there's this boring story about this old man who has been a genin all his life, and he's facing all this pressure from society to basically become a chunin, because it's just why are you still a genin? Why are you wasting your life? And it's as I said before when I was talking about the chunin exams in part 1 of Naruto, I don't see how being a genin is something to be ashamed of. Becoming a chunin seems to be damn near impossible in this series. I don't understand why there are so many chunin, because it seems like it's incredibly hard to become one. But yeah, anyway, there are more flashbacks to missions that Naruto went on to when Sasuke was still around. More shipping bait between the two of them as we get to see them kiss again. It's just it's really boring. All these episodes just seem incredibly pointless. There's no reason why. There's a reason why we didn't see them in chronological order. It's because the series does this a lot as it goes on, where basically in Shippuden there's all these flashbacks to the part 1 era of Naruto, where we're seeing all these side quests that the gang went on, and all these things they supposedly did while we didn't get to see it. And it's just but there's a reason why we didn't see it originally. Because they're boring. They add nothing to the story. They add nothing to the characters. It's just there's no point to them. There's no point in seeing them. It's just why are we seeing them? It doesn't make any sense. Just oh my gosh. But anyway, so yeah, it's just why are we not using the screen time to do more world building about the other ninja villages and the other great nations? Why are we wasting fucking time with all these flashbacks, and another Gaara flashback where we see him supposedly how he went on a mission with these with Team 7, before we actually got to see him introduced again in the when he came back to save the ninja leaf in the Sasuke retrieval arc. Again, it's so pointless. Why are we seeing it? It just doesn't make any sense. And again, who was Kazekage during that time? I will always ask that. Who was Kazekage? It doesn't make any sense. Whatever. So anyway, that's what I thought about the filler The Past arc. Really bad. Didn't like it. Really pointless. It's dragged on forever. Now we get to the next arc, which is the first arc of this part 3, which is the 5 Kage Summit arc. Basically, so Danzo is the new Hokage, and, everything going on with him, and a bunch of new characters are introduced in this arc, basically, Samui, who is from the Clouds Ninja, and she's basically just boobs, not much else to her personality, I don't really think, doesn't really contribute that much to the series. Her teammates aren't particularly interesting either, they're just basically these very standard stock personalities that don't really have much of don't really have much depth to them. I don't know. It's here's one of my main problems with this arc. I don't understand why Naruto doesn't ever talk to Hinata once. Naruto doesn't talk to Hinata once. I don't understand it. There was this whole thing, remember in the last arc where Pain was basically, Hinata sacrificed herself against Pain to try to save Naruto, and she confessed her love to him, and Naruto never acknowledges this. Like, he went full nine tails for her, like, because he was so incredibly distraught at seeing her die. And he never talks to her after that fight. He never fucking talks to her. It's ridiculous. Why did Naruto never acknowledge Hinata's existence after that? Like, seriously, Kishimoto, what the fuck? You're so fucking terrible at writing romance. Like, you expect me to believe these two actually end up together in the end? When, like, Naruto never interacts with her until, like, the war arc when... oh my gosh. It's so fucking ridiculous. Kishimoto is so fucking terrible at writing romances. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. But anyway, so that really bothers me. Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And like, Sai says later that Naruto is like still in love with Sakura. Like, seriously, like, he doesn't end up with Sakura in the end though. So why are we dragging out this fucking love triangle where like, but again, it's not even a love triangle because Hinata is like completely absent from the picture. So it doesn't make any sense. What the fuck? What the fuck, Kishimoto? What were you thinking? Oh my gosh. So that really does bother me. But yeah, anyway. So the arcs going forward introduce a lot of side characters from the other like ninja villages, and I don't really think many of them are very interesting or memorable. Like, a lot of them sort of have these very one-note quirks. Like I said before, like the Cloud Ninja weren't particularly interesting. They sort of have these sort of dumbed-down personalities where it's like mainly focusing on like one sort of quirk about them. Like, for example, there's this one character who like from the Cloud, they basically overanalyze everything, and that sort of gets old pretty fast. Like, there's this other character who's like she's constantly like made fun of for like having small breasts, and like that she sort of has anger issues, and like that's her whole character basically. And it's just, like not very interesting. Don't really find a lot of the side characters that are introduced very interesting. But yeah, anyway, so basically the other thing about this arc is basically Sakura like sort of goes off on her own and tries to kill Sasuke, which even though the arc makes very clear that she's still in love with Sasuke by this point, even though I just I don't understand it, because she hasn't seen him in like almost at all in 3 years, and she's like, the dude has become a traitor to your country. You haven't seen him in 3 years. Like, you have, and because it makes no sense, because like, here's the thing, she has like way more interactions and chemistry with Naruto. Like, why is she still obsessed with Sasuke? Why couldn't her confessing, like, wouldn't it have been so much more interesting if like her actually, when she actually went to confess her love for Naruto, like, if it was actually true, like, because again, like, I'm biased. I was sort of a Naru Sakura shipper when I was first watching Shippuden. It's very ironic because the show is called Shippuden, so a lot of shipping nonsense going on. But again, like, Naruto and Sakura and Sasuke just makes no sense as a pairing. Like, they barely see each other for like 3 years, and she like Sasuke does all these horrible things, like becoming a traitor to the Leaf Village, and like Naruto is like way better of a character and better of a person in how he treats Sakura. And like, why is she still obsessed with Sasuke? Why is she still in love with him? It makes no fucking sense. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking frustrating. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But anyway, going back to the actual story, I love how Sasuke basically, the Hokage the Kage are like having all these disagreements and like fighting over everything, as world leaders tend to do. But basically then Sasuke, I love how Sasuke basically just arrives on the scene and just starts like wrecking everybody's shit, and it's just like sorry. But yeah, I just really love how he just sort of shows up to wreck shit up at the 5 Kage Summit. It's really cool, and great fights, and I really like that Sasuke's team members are actually really useful, and they contribute a lot. Like I said before, it's so weird because Sasuke's team members, they're not useless, but they do a lot of stuff, but they don't really do a lot of stuff in what was originally, Sasuke's main goal of, like, fighting Itachi. They didn't really do anything there, but after that, like, against Killer Bee and against the 5 Kage, they do a lot of stuff, so it's really cool, and really like seeing them in action. But yeah, so anyway, really great fights against the Hokage, just really a sort of tense scenario with him just showing up and trying to wreck everything up. It's very strange. Here's the thing, here's what I never understood, like, Obito's plan, like how he declares the 4th Great Ninja War, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what was the point of that? Because what Obito did basically is, I declare a ninja war against all the ninja villages because, like, you're protecting Naruto and Bee, and it's just like, but what you're doing is you're just uniting all the nations together, and you don't even want to defeat the nations, you just want to capture the tailed beasts. So why are you like, I declare war against all of you. You're just uniting everyone against you. And it would it would be kind of interesting if you found out like Obito's plan was secretly to, like, he was pulling a Lelouch v Britannia plan, like basically where from Code Geass, which is an anime I watched recently, where spoilers for that, where he basically tries to unite the entire world against him, which is sort of his plan for creating world peace, which is that's his plan. It would have been an interesting twist if like Obito's plan for like Infinite Tsukuyomi thing was like kind of bullshit, and he wanted to unite all the nations against him to sort of create world peace in that way. But that's not his plan, and he just like ends up making things way more difficult for him, despite the fact that like Obito has the ability to like pass through like walls and solid surfaces and stuff. There probably would have been a lot of opportunities for him to easier like capture the Jinchuriki much easier than creating a war against like the entire world. It just doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand that. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, it's sort of an awesome moment where, oh, I declare war on the world. And it's just like cool, but also it doesn't make any sense. So don't understand his plan at all. It just doesn't make any sense why he like united everyone against him. So yeah, then we get to the fight between Kisame and B is like it's kind of cool. It's okay. It is kind of jumping the shark again. Get it, because Kisame is an actual shark. But it's just like it is just like this massive fight where like stealth or anything like that relating to ninja stuff isn't like there's not really a ton of tactics in it. Like basically there's this incredibly massive water bubble that like tramples throughout the entire forest that's created, and it's kind of ridiculous how powerful Kisame is, like, because he can take on the 8 tails in a straight up brawl despite him not having any tail beast powers. It's like, it is kind of ridiculous, but anyway, it is kind of a cool fight. Again, the Danzo versus Sasuke fight, that is a really, really good fight, because it just has incredible tactics with Danzo having this really unique power where he's able to rewrite reality for a limited amount of time. So that was honestly really cool, and I really liked Sasuke trying to find a way around that and sort of battle against him. And also, this is sort of the point where Sasuke sort of has definitely moved on to full-on villain territory. But again, he is still likable, because Sasuke is fighting against arguably an even worse person, where Danzo is just like such a piece of shit. And they tried to give them this whole thing where, he actually had a redeeming backstory, but no, Danzo was a fucking piece of shit. Like, and I was honestly really rooting for Sasuke, even though he sort of did go down a dark path, because he was just like taking revenge against this piece of shit human being who like caused all this terrible nonsense in the story. And like, anyway, so that was really cool. But yeah, anyway, it's just like again. But again, then we get to Sakura's whole thing where she's saying, "Oh, I want to kill Sasuke so I can finally sort of because I want to kill him because he's a threat." And like I get it, but it's just like she's such a fucking idiot, because like her knocking out all of her team and then going to kill Sasuke by herself, and then like, but you can't do that. You're not going to be able to kill Sasuke by yourself. You need to trust in your team members, and then like create a plan together to defeat him, where you stand a much better chance of defeating Sasuke. But then like, again, because she keeps saying, "Oh, I don't want to be a burden anymore. I don't want to be a burden anymore." But then she has to get her ass saved by Kakashi and then Naruto. She gets her ass saved twice in the fight against Sasuke and does nothing. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's so fucking useless. And she started out so cool in Shippuden. She had like a really cool showing in the first arc of the Kazekage retrieval arc, but then she just really fucks up everything after that and almost does nothing. It's just like, her character is just so frustrating. Oh my gosh. She's just so enraging in this arc, like, and then basically immediately after, they basically getting her ass saved by Naruto, she, like, gets mad at Naruto. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but, like, she gets mad at Naruto and, like, calls him an idiot and gives him a really hard time for something. I don't remember what it was, but it's like, this dude literally just saved your life after you made the biggest fuck up ever, and, like, you're complaining about Naruto, like, come on, such a fucking bitch. Oh my gosh, it's so annoying in this arc. Oh my gosh, it's just like, oh my gosh. Anyway, like, getting on his case after, like, everything you pulled, like, oh my gosh, it's so fucking annoying. Her character's so annoying. Oh my gosh, I do not like Sakura. Anyway, so yeah, this arc, in the end, this arc is, the the Five Kage Summoner arc, it is a pretty good arc, but I feel like there are also some missed opportunities. Like, the five great nations iron out their differences and unite too easily, and I feel like it would have been more interesting if Danzo, for example, like I said before, the Foundation plotline, it doesn't really amount to, like, it is important for the story, but it doesn't really amount to a ton in the end. And I feel like it would have been more interesting if basically, Danzo might have lived, past his assassination attempt, and had, actually, like, led the Hidden Leaf Village in, for some time in the war, maybe, and until obviously until Tsunade had woken up, and there could have been this power struggle, and like it would have been, because it's really interesting, because the whole point of good stories, it revolves around conflict, and I feel like Danzo would have created a lot of conflict in the story, because as he tends to do, because he's fucking Danzo and he's fucking terrible. But anyway, just like there could have been this whole power struggle, and these nations trying to think whether they want to unite with this piece of shit, and it's just like I just feel like Danzo should have lived longer, and his story just amounted to nothing in the end, because he just gets killed by Sasuke, and what is a really good fight, but just like it feels like he petered out and sort of didn't really amount to much in the end. So anyway, that's what I think of the five Kage Summon arc. Not the best arc in the series, but it's just it is an entertaining arc, definitely, and it's definitely only gets worse from here to come. So we'll talk about that now. All right, now we're moving on to a filler arc. Hooray! It's the Paradise on a Boat arc, where remember how I said before that the filler arcs in Naruto Part 2 were kind of okay? Not so with Part 3. Part 3, basically, the filler arcs are almost always complete garbage and add almost nothing to the story. So basically, this arc, Naruto is going on a journey to Turtle Island to train to use his tailed beast powers with Killer Bee. In the manga, obviously Naruto would have just gotten there right away after starting off on his journey, but instead, in the anime, there are 20 straight episodes of filler one-offs to slog through, and it's so difficult. I'm so glad I never got to rewatching these sections. I would not have survived. It's so fucking bad. Oh my gosh. Basically, all of them are fucking terrible and add absolutely nothing. I don't remember anything about most of them, but I do remember some of them. Like, there's this one episode with a ghost ship. There's this one pirate episode. There's this episode where Naruto fights against this woman who is trying to marry him, or something having to do with Jiraiya. I don't know. That old Genin from the previous arc shows up again. Why are we seeing him again? I don't understand what is up with, like, this filler character who just keeps showing up. It's fucking useless, fucking terrible. Just don't like it at all. There's this episode where Naruto and his companions get high on some poisonous mushrooms, and it's just like, why? What the fuck are we watching right now? It's just like, what? There's this episode where there's this episode that's so fucking annoying, where like basically Naruto's shadow clones turn against him and campaign for equal rights. Like, yeah, his clones are trying to, like, basically become their own people, and, like, we're not listening to you anymore, original. Like, we're being our own clones. Just, like, it's so... And, like, at the end, they try to fucking kill Naruto, and it's just, like, first of all, that's not how shadow clones work. Like, shadow clones, like... Again, it's not like they have their own distinct personalities. Like, they're just a complete copy of the original. And it's not like, because it's not like these clones are just disappearing in the end. They're just fusing back into Naruto, where basically, because how the shadow clones work, as it has been established, is that the clones are basically, there's a copy of Naruto's personality, where basically, if they get destroyed, then they just go back into Naruto and become, they're Naruto again. They're all Naruto. So it doesn't make any sense why, it makes no fucking sense why his clones would ever turn against him. That doesn't make any sense. So it's just like, what? And like, sure, like, yeah, it turns out to be all a dream in the end. Except that it turns out to be all the dream of, like, one of Naruto's shadow clones that he experiences. So, again, it is sort of implied that all those shadow clones do have these distinct personalities and desires. So it's just so dumb. It's just, like, such a dumb episode. It makes no sense considering the lore of the shadow clones that has been set up. So, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I think I remember the worst episode of this filler arc stretch is basically the episode where Naruto runs into this imposter Naruto claiming to be him, except it's obviously not Naruto. It looks nothing like him, and it's so fucking dumb. It's so unbelievably uninteresting. Like, this entire 20 episode filler slog, it's like, there's no point to it. You can skip the entire thing, and like, I wish I skipped it the first time I watched it, but again, like, I wanted to watch every single episode, so, whatever, fucking useless. Anyway, now we get on to the second arc of part 3, which is the Fourth Great Ninja War. I wasn't sure if I should have split this arc up like I did with the Chunin exams, because it's just so fucking long, and there's some stuff going on before the war really gets into gear, but I don't know, I think I'll just talk about the build up to the war along with the war. So anyway, yeah, the Fourth Great Ninja War, let's talk about it. So basically, after Naruto finally gets to the Turtle Island to train with B, his training with B is kind of interesting. I do like B as a character. He is just a very entertaining person, and him, sort of Naruto going through this whole process of him at the Waterfall of Truth and sort of coming to terms with himself. And we do get to see, it's pretty interesting because we get to see more of what actually happened when the Nine Tails attacked, and when we get to see more of Naruto's mom instead of just seeing his dad. Where Kushina was a fun character. I think she's definitely a fun and entertaining character with a distinct personality. But here's my problem. It's just ridiculous. Like Kushina basically, because Kushina when she was younger, she had this whole goal of, oh, I'm gonna become Hokage, but then she became a housewife in the end, and it's just like, that's kind of just, why though? Like, you have this character with goals of her own, and then it's basically at the end it's just like, oh no, your goals of becoming Hokage were silly. Just let this more capable man take over the role of Hokage for you, and you can just be his. You could be his wife. That's basically the same thing as achieving your goals, right? You get to be the wife of the Hokage rather than. I don't understand. It just feels like Kushina. She got done dirty. She had all these goals when she was younger, becoming Hokage, and then she becomes a housewife in the end. It's just I don't know. It's just once again Kishimoto basically giving prime focus and importance to the male characters instead of the female ones. It's Kushina's a good character. I like her, but she just feels like she really got shafted and didn't really I don't know, she just sort of was forced to give up on her goals for no reason. I don't know. It's just that bothers me. So then basically after Naruto gets these Naruto gets the powers of the Nine Tails for himself, he somehow his Nine Tails powers somehow give him the ability to sense negative energy, which that doesn't make any sense to me. B never got any of those same kind of powers, despite the fact that he had control over his Jinchuriki, so that it doesn't make any sense why Naruto's Biju mode is so different from B's. I really don't get it. It just doesn't make any sense. But anyway, so Kisame gets found out. He gets one final fight to go out against Guy, and it was good. But I think they could have used more Kisame's character more. They sort of gave him an interesting backstory at the end, where sort of did show how he was did sort of have these honorable qualities where basically he killed himself rather than letting him be captured. So in a way, he was a villain, but he was also he was dedicated to the cause in the end. But I don't know, it just feels like they could have done more with his character. He just ends up dying in the end, and doesn't really end up contributing much in the end. So it's just that sort of bothers me. Conan, the way she went out also did bother me too. She just dies from Obito in the end, and nothing really comes from her character. And I don't know, it just seems like Conan is another thing too, because it's sort of similar to Kushina, where basically Conan didn't really have any goals of her own. It didn't seem she was this character who was she had this cool design, these cool powers, but it seems she was all in on Nagato's plan to basically use the power of the tailed beasts to basically create peace in the world. And then but then when Naruto flips her mind, when Nagato flips his mind and basically completely changes his mind, she's oh, well, I'm just gonna go ahead with what Nagato said, not really having any much agency of her own, just sort of basically, again, the sort of theme of these characters sort of going along with the these female characters going along with what the motivations of the male characters are, with them not having much agency on their own, which is a common theme in Kishimoto's writing, but just bothers me. But again, Conan kind of did go out like a badass, sort of definitely getting Obito on his back foot, but it's just I don't know, they could have used her more. I just don't understand why they had her abandon Nagato's dream when he abandoned it, and just had her to go out for no real reason. And so it's just that bothers me. And I guess Anko and Captain Yamato end up being captured by Kabuto. I don't even remember how it ended up happening, but those two characters were just completely fucking wasted in the end. They could have done so much more with Yamato and Anko, but they just didn't. Anyway, so then we get into then we get into Kabuto and him being like this main villain now, and it's just like Kabuto is fucking ridiculous, man. Like he was kind of interesting before, where he was like this assistant who was sort of obsessed with Orochimaru, but then like this complete loser somehow gained like Sage Mode powers and became way more powerful than Orochimaru and became like this ultimate life form and created this giant hacks immortal undead army, and like he becomes this ultimate life form apparently, where he still has to wear fucking glasses. Like what kind of ultimate life form doesn't have good eyesight? What the fuck? Why was Kabuto still wearing glasses after that? You didn't see Cell like in Dragon Ball Z wearing glasses like because he couldn't see. Like what the fuck? Oh my gosh. He gave himself all these improvements to his body and couldn't fix his fucking eyesight. It's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. But again, it's just so laughable because Kabuto starts from this character who's like basically Orochimaru's henchman to this basically smarmy ass douche who basically becomes this like incredible like hacks powers like super powered character and like this main villain. It's just ridiculous. Like because I don't understand. Why didn't Orochimaru just get brought back to life? Like, wouldn't it have been so much more interesting if, like, Orochimaru, who had, like, spent all this time, like, studying the secret to, immortality, like, he found out some way to be brought back, or Kabuto brought him back, and, basically, he was the one who, like, gained all these, powers and, like, these Sage Mode powers, and, like, he was the one who allied with Obito and, like, created this undead army. Wouldn't that have been so much more interesting rather than seeing fucking Kabuto? And, like, Orochimaru just ends up getting brought back anyway, so why not just bring him back and have him be the main antagonist again anyway? I don't understand why he had to do it with fucking Kabuto. It's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. Anyway. So yeah, that happened. Kabuto like gains all these hacks powers and becomes this giant ass villain. Whatever, it's stupid. But anyway, so here's my problem with this though. Like, what exactly was Obito's plan for winning the Fourth Shinobi War? Like, again, he didn't have the Rinnegan when he declared war. He didn't have the Impure World Reincarnation Jutsu when he declared war, and he all he had was a bunch of fucking Zetsus that do almost nothing. Like, what? How did Obito think he was going to win this thing? Like, he just declared war with, like, basically... Again, in addition to, like, him uniting the entire world against him, like, he did not have, like, the armies to back up his declaration of war, because, like, he didn't have the Rinnegan at the time, he didn't have Kabuto and his, like, hacks, jutsu, immortality, impure world reincarnation, he didn't have any of that. He had a bunch of fucking Zetsus, and, like, that's it, but, like, they don't even really do that much in the end. They're not really that powerful. So how did he think he was gonna get away with declaring war on the entire world? It doesn't make any sense. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so that bothers me, definitely. Before we get to the actual war, though, we have to then sit through 4 straight episodes of flashbacks to Naruto and Sasuke's relationship to when they were younger in part 1. Riveting. We really need to see more fucking flashbacks. Christ, This anime, man, like, we have memory. The people watching this anime have a memory. We can remember things. We don't need to see flashbacks of the same damn content over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. Oh my gosh, it's so fucking ridiculous. Oh my gosh, and it goes on for 4 episodes, and it's just flashbacks. Oh my gosh. But anyway, then finally we do get to the actual war itself by episode 261, and I don't know, it's the war arc. I don't know. The thing about the war arc is, like, it definitely can be interesting. That, like, there's definitely some good fights in the war arc, but at the same time, it is kind of dull when you actually look at the big picture of it. Because, like, it just drags out for a long time, and it feels like the story just isn't really going anywhere. So, I don't know. It's just like I said before, this arc, the war arc definitely did have some entertaining fights, and, like, one of the things that's really cool about it is some of the team combinations were really good. It's really cool to see, like, it is just really cool to see all these characters in these different locations, basically with these different pair-ups, fighting against these interesting villains and having to use all these different battle strategies with, like, team tactics. And again, it is really interesting, and the war arc is cool. Like, it's cool to see all this stuff happening, but at the same time, it's just like, it doesn't really have the best writing, to be honest. Like, again, like, I said before how the white Zetsus are just really boring as antagonists. They don't really have very interesting abilities. They just get taken out like basically stormtroopers throughout the whole war, and they don't really do much of anything. Like, there was sort of this cool plotline where basically they were able to transform into these characters and sort of infiltrate the ranks of the Shinobi Alliance, but not really it is sort of interesting, but not much really comes of that in the end. And the reanimations are. It's cool to see all these characters coming back with these different abilities, but the reanimations are just a problem because, like, it just feels like this arc is retreading old ground. You know, rather than introducing new villains or, you know, using the ones that were still alive, like Conan or Kisame, the whole arc is just basically reusing these old characters that we've already seen before and just, like, bringing them back to life. It's just, like, it just feels, like, a little bit lazy because it just feels like Kishimoto, you know, he was, like, basically, oh, how can we make this arc more interesting? Well, actually, we'll just bring back all these previous villains and have the characters fight them again. So, yeah, that'll happen. So, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like a bit tired just using all these characters again. And I don't know. It just... And again, like, even though the fights are cool and, like, some of the scenarios are interesting and, like, it is entertaining at times, but it just feels, like, very formulaic, with this arc basically going from location to location where some characters will fight this dead character and then it will relate to their past in some way, and then other characters will fight this dead character, and, like, I don't know. And it's just, like, some things we just didn't really need to see. Like, we didn't need to see some of these stuff where basically, like, you know, did we really need to see Asuma being brought back to life to fight against Shikamaru's team, where there's, like, this entire drawn-out fight of the course of multiple episodes where, you know, and did we really need to see that? Like, his story arc was already finished and done with the Team 10 arc back in Naruto Part 2, and it's like, I don't know, it's sort of, yeah, it's kind of cool where we see the, you know, this emotional moment where Asuma being brought back to life, but wouldn't it have been more impactful if he had just stayed dead? I don't understand what was the point of bringing him back, and, like, I don't know, it's just like, I don't know, that part just really dragged me. I don't think we really needed to see it, quite honestly, and, like, you know, another main problem with this arc is that it's, like, this arc just feels incredibly low stakes. I mean, war, because here's the thing, it's a war, and, like, you know, because here's the thing, this entire time we've seen in Naruto, like, we've seen how cruel this world can be, and we've seen, like, characters die, like, for example, Asuma and Jiraiya, and we've seen, like, these horrible things about the world, and it hasn't even boiled over into all out war yet, but now this is all out war, and we're seeing the fourth great shinobi war, but, like, literally, war should be showcased as incredibly horrific, where just death is just everywhere, but very few actual characters actually die in this arc, and, like, none of the main or supporting characters die, and it's just, like, so ridiculous, because, like, oh, it's a war where, like, all this terrible stuff is happening, but none of the characters actually die, so it's just, like, we should have seen a lot more deaths in this series, where, like, characters are just dying left and right, maybe not, like, the main characters necessarily, but, like, definitely a lot of the side characters and supporting characters. Like, there should have been a much higher body count in this war. And, like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure, like, we do hear that, oh, like, half of the Shinobi Alliance has been wiped out, but we never see any of the actual characters that we care about getting killed off, so we don't really care as an audience that, like, oh, this vague number of, like, half of the Shinobi have been wiped out. We don't really care. So, like, and Shikamaru, like, yeah, sure, Shikamaru and Ino's dad do die in the next arc, yeah, and Neji dies too, but, like, you know, that's sort of when we're getting to the Infinite Tsukiyomi arc, which I've split up from the war arc, so basically we're gonna talk about that later, but anyway, yeah, so, sorry, but anyway, yeah, the fourth great Ninja War just feels surprisingly PG, and it's like, basically, it's just kind of lame, because it feels like it's just some armies fighting and winning against some dead people and some clones. Like, there's not that much tension on the hero's side, because the main protagonists, none of them really die. There's not that much tension on the villain's side, because all the characters are either, you know, personality personalityless clones or dead people who are already dead. So it's just like, I don't know, just like, you know, no civilians get caught up in the war, none of the villages get attacked, none of the world and people outside of the shinobi are really, you know, that affected by it. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's just like, you know, it's just like, it feels like Kishimoto's writing has really taken a step back in this arc, because it just feels like you have a war arc, you have, like, this world war that should be so incredibly interesting and tension-filled, and, like, I have all these, like, massive calamities going on, but that doesn't really happen. Like, oh my gosh, it's just, like, very frustrating. I mean, this could have been a great arc where, like, the characters are pushed to their breaking points, and we really see just how much of the, like, ordinary citizens of this world are suffering from the war, and, like, the calamities of the shinobi, but that doesn't, we don't really see any of that, so it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just like very frustrating how the war was did play out in with Kishimoto's writing. I also really don't like how battle strategy and because we do see battle strategy in this war, but the use of physical terrain and intelligence just don't play as much of a big part in this war. This is Naruto, where the show that's built on part of its reputation on strategy, but for the most part, the encounters in this war were relatively straightforward. There are these ninja. These are ninjas, for crying out loud. Why are they just meeting the enemy in open combat on the battlefield? Why didn't... and then there's just a lot of things that could have been interesting to provided more interesting scenarios in this war. For example, why didn't we see Kabuto use Naruto's abilities to gather information to strike back against the Alliance? Why didn't the Intelligence Corps and the main people in the Shinobi Alliance basically the Shinobi Alliance had these headquarters that for some reason were never attacked until after the Ten Tails emerges. But why wasn't a main factor of Obito's campaign against the Shinobi Alliance, sending these guys against HQ to massively break up the flow of information? Why wasn't that part of the whole operation? I just don't understand. It just could have been much better played out, much better written, and where there are all these interesting scenarios you could have done, but they didn't really take advantage of. So that sort of bothered me. What we got from the war arc, there are some interesting fights, there are some interesting counters, some interesting battle tactics, and but it's just it's not as good as good as it could have been. This war arc could have been written much better. So it's just it's just really not as good as it could have been. Like I said before, it's not completely terrible. Some of the fights are pretty good. There are some interesting scenarios. Other fights can be boring though. For example, the fight between Mifune and Hanzo of the Salamander. You honestly expect me to give a shit about Mifune, for crying out loud? I don't care. It's just not. He's not interesting. That fight wasn't interesting. Why didn't Tsunade end up fighting against Hanzo of the Salamander? She's one of the legendary Sannin who fought against him originally. Why didn't we get to see that? Would have been much more interesting. But anyway, there's this whole fight against Kinkaku and Ginkaku that's so dumb. And somehow these two fucking terrible characters who just are some of the worst written characters in the entire series, just so incredibly useless. They end up being incredibly important and to the entire plot of the thing, where basically they lead to Obito being able to create the Ten Tails. First of all, why, if they were able to do that, why, Obito? Why didn't you just do that earlier if you had the ability to do so, dumbass? Why didn't you just use Kinkaku and Ginkaku immediately when you figured out that Kabuto had them? Why didn't you just create the Ten Tails immediately? We figure out that, yeah, you don't even need the full Nine Tails and Eight Tails. You can just do it with a portion of their chakra. So it's just why didn't you do that originally? Why'd you wait all this time? It makes no fucking sense. You're playing so fucking stupid, Obito. Oh my gosh. But anyway, so also I basically Kinkaku and Ginkaku, they have there's this whole scenario where they have these weapons that basically there's this sealing jar where when characters say their most said word, they get sealed in it, and it's what the fuck was that even? I don't know, it's just useless characters. 1010. What's interesting is 1010 does get some amount of focus, even small. She actually does do some kind of stuff. So, 1010 actually being slightly useful. What a I don't know. It's very very strange to see that. You don't often see it where 1010 actually being kind of useful in the story. But anyway, so also there's this. What's so weird to me is that, while the war is going on, there's this very strange subplot of Naruto trying to guess these animals' gender while he's supposed to be training on the Turtle Island, and it's just it's such a strange subplot. It's just a really cringeworthy, not very good comedy, and also apparently Naruto is canon against trans rights because he's basically they come across this animal who's it doesn't want to reveal what gender it is. Sort of it's implied as having troubles with its gender identity, and Naruto's this entire time trying to find, oh, come on, show me your private parts, I want to see what gender you are. And basically at the end it's oh ha, you have a penis, which means you're a boy. And it's just I don't know, it's very strange. Apparently Naruto is canon against trans rights, so yeah, anyway, that's a thing that happened. But anyway, so basically back to the actual story. I'm not sure if that was filler. It feels very fillery, but it was worked in with the narrative, so I don't know, it's fucking dumb. But anyway, like I said before, there is this kind of interesting scenario with the White Setsus where they're using transformation jutsus to infiltrate the ninja camps, and that was sort of cool. Sakura actually gets some measly amount of focus, where she kind of finds out that Neji is basically, he's not actually Neji, but it is White Zetsu clone disguised as him. So that was kind of interesting, but it ultimately amounts to nothing in the end. Sakura gets almost no other focus in this arc, so it's just like, whatever. Anyway, eventually Naruto wises up to the fact that there's this war going on and decides to leave the island, and now that he is thoroughly overpowered to the point where his shadow clones can match nearly any ninja fighting in the war, like, he definitely is pretty useful in the war, but... And like I said before, I don't understand why his Jinchuriki mode looked so different than B's, but whatever. Anyway... So yeah, Naruto does end up joining the battlefield, and he actually gets into this really great fight against the reanimated Itachi and Nagato, and I really like this fight. It's just really great and really well set up, and like there's also a bit of great continuity where the crow that Itachi placed inside of Naruto from like forever ago makes a reappearance and breaks Kabuto's control over Itachi. That's honestly really clever, and it's really good use of like bringing things back to the narrative. They thought Naruto like he swallows this crow that Itachi forced down his throat like 200 episodes ago. Like that was random, but it turns out it actually has a point and it comes back, and that's really cool, and I really liked it. And I really like this whole twist of how he was basically trying to use the crow to basically as because it's fucking Itachi, and he has all these fucking backup plans like times 1,000, where like if it had ever interacted with Sasuke, it would basically put him under a genjutsu where he wanted to protect the hidden leaf. But basically it worked on him because it would be supposed to basically react to his eyes. And that's honestly really cool. So I really like that. And it's a really interesting use of previously established things. So yeah, anyway. So that was a really great fight. Really like the fight against Nagato. Itachi, he's just such a fucking awesome character. I love Itachi so much. He's so great. But anyway, there's also this fight between Gaara's company and some previous Kage, and some of it is definitely pretty cool. Definitely some really cool. There's this one. I think he was a Mizukage, a previous Mizukage. He's just like such a hilarious character. Like he has all these like sarcastic and witty remarks that I really did like. I would say I didn't really appreciate how Gaara, his father basically tells him, oh, you were loved the whole time, because, like, Gaara's whole story and his backstory was supposed to be about, like, him getting the village's respect, despite being an unloved child, and I thought that was very, inspiring, how he had this, like, terrible backstory where, like, everyone freaking hated him, and he was still able to, become a better person, like, become respected regardless. But then there's this whole... Basically, his father reveals to him, oh, you were actually loved by your mother the whole time, and you actually, like, always had love. And it's just, like, I don't know, I feel like it does sort of dampen the impact of his backstory somewhat, and I didn't really appreciate that aspect of it. Maybe I'm alone in that. Maybe a lot of people thought it was, like, oh, it was so emotional seeing how, Gaara, his mother actually loved him the entire time, but I don't know. I don't really think it was needed. I don't know. This arc, like, it does have good fight scenes, and, good fan service, I guess. Not fan service in the way of boobies and stuff, but like fan service of seeing all these characters make a reappearance and stuff like that. But I don't know, it just feels like a lot of padding, basically, where not the state of the war doesn't really change a whole lot throughout the war, and it's just like I don't know, it just doesn't really change that much or develop. But then the ending of this arc, where basically where I'm cutting off the work and where we go into the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc next, where basically the ending of this arc, where Madara just shows up and completely wrecks everyone and summons a fucking meteor out of the sky. That episode, man, that episode was fucking amazing. Oh my gosh, Madara Uchiha, his appearance, like, if we thought Toby being revealed as Madara Uchiha back like during the Pain arc or Sasuke Revenge arc or whatever that was, if we thought that was incredible, Madara just showing up out of nowhere, despite the fact that we already thought that, like, Toby was Madara, like, him just showing up and just wrecking everyone, and, like, with how well animated it was, oh my gosh, that was so incredibly iconic. Madara's introduction. That is a way to introduce a villain. That is a fucking way to introduce a villain. Again, like I said, it's completely jumping the shark, like, Madara summoning a massive fucking meteor out of the sky to, like, demolish the entire battlefield. It's jumping the shark, I know, but it's... It's Madara. It's so fucking cool. Oh my gosh. But yeah, anyway, and again, I really like the Madara twist that happens, because, like, this entire time, it was this big reveal when it first happened, where, like, this Toby character, like, he's this comic relief. But then it turns out, he's actually Madara. And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't expect this. And then it turns out that it happens, it was actually a red herring, where he actually wasn't Madara, and Madara has been dead the entire time. And it's just like, it really keeps you in suspense with what happens, because there's this incredibly powerful masked guy who says he's Madara but isn't actually Madara, and then you have this other Madara over here. And it's like, I don't know, it's a great twist, and it really keeps you in suspense, and it's not nearly as egregious as a certain twist in the future that happens with a certain black Zetsu person, but yeah, and again, it's a twist that makes sense, because there has been all this foreshadowing to that, like, this masked man Madara is not exactly, might not be who he says he is, and like, when you go back and rewatch the series and what has happened, you can sort of catch on to the twist that, oh, yeah, this guy who says he's Madara isn't actually Madara, so it's definitely, pretty interesting, so, yeah. So, the war arc overall, doesn't really, it definitely could have been much better, even though it still is entertaining to watch, but, the ending with, Madara showing up and just wrecking everyone's shit, just really iconic, really great way to end off the war arc, which, like I said before, that is where I think I'm going to end the war arc, because even though the war arc does go on, the war arc does go on. I'm sort of splitting it up into, next we're going to be talking about what I would call the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc, with, like, trying to deal with Ten Tails and everything. Also, another thing that bothers me about the war is, like, the war lasts for, like, 2 days. Not even, honestly. Like, and that just bothers me so much, because, like, it's a war. It's a world war. Like, world wars don't get ended in, like, 2 days. Like, what the actual fuck? Like, everything that happens in 2 days is just ridiculous. It should have been, like, drawn out to much more time, happening over the course of it, so that just really bothered me. Like, everything that's happening is happening 2 days. Like, really? What? Anyway. So that's what I thought of the war arc. However, we're not done, because in actuality, we do still have more of the war arc to talk about, which is that, the filler arcs in the, 4th Shinobi War filler, and, as if the war wasn't, drawn out enough, there's also quite a bit of filler to get through, yay, basically, a lot of it, again, is flashbacks to spots in the story where there was just nothing going on, and, I just came to utterly despise this type of filler watching it, because, again, there's nothing going on, you're just flashing back to these, times in the past where, like, again, like, we didn't see them originally for good reason, because there was no point in seeing them, and it's like these useless fucking stories, and like, it completely breaks up the flow of events. Like, there's this flashback of there's this whole flashback of Sakura getting amnesia. Yeah, we really need to see that. There's this there's this whole Allied Mom Force episode centered around Konohamaru, who, again, I don't like. It's such a cringy episode, and like, the moms of the village come in to save the day or something in the end. It's just like, oh my gosh, whatever. There's also, like, in addition to past stuff and like filler with Konohamaru and stuff and whatever the fuck, there's there's also some filler confrontations happening in the present. Like, for example, Pakura of the Sand. She's a character who's just a relatively boring character. Like, there is some history going on with the history of the Hidden Sand, but just like, why do we need that? Why do we need why do we need her to be, like, flesh out and stuff? And like, it's pretty boring and uninteresting. And there's some other filler with some of the other ninja swordsmen of the mist, but again, it's just like boring and uninteresting. It's just like not I don't know. And again, there's also this very strange 6-episode filler arc squeezed into the war arc called it's basically called Power, where basically it's really weird because, like, first of all, I have no idea how it's supposed to fit into the Naruto timeline. Like, a lot of these other fillers where, like, they're kind of trying to squeeze it into the timeline, you could give it the benefit of the doubt, but, like, Power just, like, it's so strange. It just, like, seems like it doesn't have any way to fit into the Naruto timeline. And just, like, that taken with the obviously increased animation budget makes the whole arc seem like it should have been, like, a Naruto movie, because it just, like, screams, like, it reminds me a lot of, like, Dragon Ball Z movies, where you would see these movies, based on the Dragon Ball Z series, that basically, it would focus on this whole plot that, like, doesn't fit into the timeline too well, has increased animation budget, and that's basically exactly what the Power arc in Naruto is. So I don't understand, was the Power arc just a movie that was just made into episodes of the TV show? In which case, I really don't think it works very well. I think it should have just been a separate movie, but, like, they just wanted more episodes, apparently, and I don't get it, and it's like, it's not really the most interesting story. It kind of feels like filler, not really much going on, but, like, again, it does have really great animation, but, I don't really understand it. Like, Naruto went through this whole thing before of when, Minato repaired the seal on him, that he was basically, trying to get Naruto to basically control himself more and, like, not use the Nine Tails and let it break out of his body. But in Power, he basically just almost completely unleashes the Nine Tails. This is like, I don't know, it's just like frustrating, but whatever. Anyway, Power again, it's filler arc. Just I feel like it should have been a movie for sure. It doesn't make any sense why it's just like this. These episodes this like have much better higher animation quality and don't fit in the timeline. Should have been a movie, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah. So that's what I thought of Power. Then later, after Naruto's rematch with Nagato, there's yet another stretch of nearly 20 more filler episodes, dealing with more reanimations while not progressing the plot a single inch. Some of it's okay. There's this storyline based around this woman who lost her lover, called Hayate Gecko in part 1. I remember his name because it has Gecko in the title, and it's just like, Gecko. I don't, whatever. It's a funny name, but anyway, yeah, that was sort of weird to me because in the original, like after Hayate Gecko died and like his lover was mourning over him and stuff, I feel like they just kind of forgot about that. Like we never really saw her again, so it's kind of nice to. I don't know, it's kind of nice that she does make a reappearance and, like, does some stuff, but I don't know. There are some other fillers in this stress that just feel so pointless, though. Like, there's even more flashbacks to peacetime adventures in the past. There's, like, there's a flashback episode to when Hinata lost her sight or whatever, and there's such a weird bathhouse flashback that is, interspliced with Obito musing about how he's gonna use the infinite Tsukuyomi, which is very strange. There's also this 3-episode filler arc about this kid who can control the weather called Yota, and it like flashes back to how in the past when all the characters were kids, this Yota brat actually like brought all of them together somehow and made them all friends, but then wiped their memories, and it turns out she was actually dead the whole time. What's the point of that? What's the point of this arc? What's the point of seeing 3 fucking episodes dedicated to that? And, like, there is no point. It's nothing but padding and adds nothing. It's just like, it's such a lazy excuse by the studio to pad out the episodes and like make time for the manga. It's just like, just take a hiatus. Just take a fucking hiatus. You don't have to have episodes like every single week. It just doesn't make any sense. You're just wasting your time. You're wasting your fucking time. Just take a hiatus. Oh my gosh. It's a bunch of fucking filler. Use this filler. Fucking filler, man. Oh my gosh. Makes me so mad. Anyway, now we get to the third arc of part 3, which I have split up from the war arc, which some people group it together. I feel like with this arc, like everything sort of blends together with like after you get to the 5 Kage summits, all the arcs, like the mini arcs, just kind of blend together in the end. So like I don't know, but I'm splitting it up because we talked enough about the war arc, and it just like went on forever with me talking about it. So now we're getting to the infinite Tsukuyomi arc, which in my opinion starts taking place after Madara wrecks everyone's shit, and so yeah, this arc pretty much follows directly from the previous arc. So does the final arc, honestly, which in my opinion, because here's the thing, it's a problem with when like everything that's happening follows from the previous arc because and there's no real breaks because there's such an incredibly long stretch of episodes that just have no breathing room, and the story just keeps going on and 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 in such an incredibly short period of time too. Like all these episodes again are happening in like the span of 2 days, and it's like goes on and on and on and on and on and on with no breathing room. Like it's kind of fucking ridiculous. And the problem too is that that's a problem for the filler too, because like when you have a continuous stretch of episodes where there's no breathing room and there's no space between arcs, you have all these fillers that are jammed into the story for no reason to be there, and it just completely breaks up the flow. So in the end, the fact that all the arcs just continue on from another without giving any breathing room is a big problem for the fillers as well, because they just feel like extra pointless and extra breaking up with the narrative. So it's just like, that's a real problem. So anyway, basically the fight between the 5 Kage and Madara Orochi happens, and it's good, it's cool, but I don't know if it's like incredible. Like one of my main problems is with it's cool that we get to see the 5 Kage fighting Madara, but I don't know how basically the conclusion to the fight and seeing Madara defeat everyone, that was just off screen, and that really bothers me. I just the conclusion of the fight was shown off screen, and we didn't really get a resolution to it. So and I don't understand why I don't understand why Madara basically left all the 5 Kage alive. Like that was sort of confusing to me. I don't understand why he didn't just kill them all, but whatever. That was sort of strange. But anyway, meanwhile, back to Sasuke, who has been absent from the story for basically all of it by this point. He has run into his brother Itachi. So he is sort of getting weirded out by the fact that he's still alive and everything. And it's always been really weird to me how Sasuke was used by Obito in the show. Like, because here's the thing, Obito just makes Sasuke incredibly powerful, and then like he gives Sasuke all these like hacks abilities, and like takes him under his wing and gives him these new eyes, and then like he doesn't keep tabs on him at all. Like, he doesn't use him in the war. He doesn't use Sasuke for anything, and then Sasuke just immediately turns against Obito when he figures out that about the reanimation jutsu. Like, just why? I don't understand. Like, Obito, what were you doing? Like, why did you make Sasuke this powerful and then just like not keep tabs on him and then allow him to turn against you? And like, because the deal was that Kabuto was in return for helping Obito with his plan for the Fourth Great Ninja War. In return, Obito would give up Sasuke to Kabuto to use his body for like all kinds of fucked up things and stuff. But then like, so why didn't Obito keep tabs on him though? Why did he just let Sasuke run amok? It just doesn't even make any sense. It's just like, oh my gosh. But anyway, so it is really cool to see Itachi and Sasuke interacting after Sasuke learns the truth. I do think this was definitely needed, and it's not just a case of, they're bringing back for fan service. I do think it is really important for Sasuke's character and his development for him to see Itachi after he's come back from the dead, and it is really cool seeing them sort of reunite, and where Sasuke sort of does hate his brother, but also like was really felt guilty about killing him, and that's just like a really cool. He hates him for. He hates him for destroying his family, but also just feels really bad for him at the same time. That's a really cool dynamic, and with his thoughts towards Itachi being very conflicted. But anyway, then we get to the fight against Kabuto, which is it's cool. It's cool to see Sasuke and Itachi's relationship get some kind of closure. With the whole "I will love you always" thing. That was, oh my gosh, that was tearjerker, man. Oh, that was tearjerker, man. Definitely very tear no jutsu, we'll say, tear bending. Anyway, but yep. So basically, I don't understand why. Again, I don't understand why Naruto consistently it insists on having so many flashbacks. Like the audience gets to see yet more flashbacks back to Sasuke's past again when he reunites with Itachi. And it's like there have been so fucking many of them already. Like, it goes back to the slaughter of the Uchiha clans and like Itachi and Sasuke's backstory so much in the story. It's just like it's so overplayed, and we get it. We've seen it already. You don't have to keep playing it. It's like, oh my gosh, fucking hell, man. It's just like so annoying how there's so many fucking flashbacks in the series. Also, I will say, like, Izanami, it's complete bullshit. Like, Kishimoto pulled that straight out of his ass. Like, literally, like, it came out of nowhere and has literally no counter. Like, literally, because here's the thing, literally everything that Itachi and Sasuke did in the fight against in the fight against Kabuto, like, basically wasn't for anything in the end, because like again, Itachi basically just uses this jutsu that has like literally no counter. Kabuto doesn't even have to look him in the eyes to do it, where he basically is like, you will go through this eternal loop where basically you're trapped, and like, and again, but it just comes out of nowhere because Kishimoto couldn't think of a way to like, resolve that whole fight, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's just such bullshit, lazy ass pull. It's just like, Izanami is complete bullshit. It's just like, whatever. It's just like, so yeah, don't like Izanami at all. It's just like, feels like it completely comes out of nowhere, complete bullshit. But yeah, anyway, so then we get to Naruto, Guy, and Naruto, Guy, B, and Kakashi's fight against Obito. And this fight is actually pretty cool. I do like because here's the thing, there's some really cool moments with them going against the tailed beasts, and where Naruto's like basically, because Naruto has basically gone down this path of like sort of seeing the redemptive qualities in like the tailed beasts, and seeing how they're acting this way because they were basically trapped by these humans and sort of basically used as weapons of war when they didn't want to, and they just sort of wanted to be free. So that is really cool, seeing Naruto talk to all these tailed beasts and these Jinchuriki, and sort of going towards the path of like gaining respect for them, and by extension gaining some respect from Kurama as well. So that is pretty cool. And also another thing I really like about this fight against Obito is that like the reveal of who the masked man is happens gradually throughout the use of battle, where basically the fight is telling a story where through fighting the masked man we get sort of more of a sense of who he is through our combat with him, and sort of coming to understand his abilities more through like Kakashi's Mangekyo that he used to counter Obito's powers. So it's a really great use of fighting to reveal information. So I really like that aspect of I really like that aspect of the fight against Obito. It's really cool. Anyway, so basically after the reanimation jutsu is released, Madara somehow just wills himself into continued existence. I mean, yeah, sure, I know he pulled some hand signs Sharingan bullshit, but he basically just willed himself back into continued existence. So, I mean, it's Madara, so basically he automatically gets a free pass, but still, it is very strange. Jeez, my voice is so fucking hoarse. Can you tell I'm recording this after I got COVID? Yeah, it's just like, but gotta get this video done. So anyway, meanwhile, Orochimaru comes back to life again and just decides to help out Sasuke now for some reason. Like, I don't understand why Orochimaru, why couldn't he have just come back to fill the role that Kabuto filled in the first place? Why couldn't he have just been there from the beginning? Why did you feel the need to bring him back after Kabuto was the main villain for a while? It just doesn't make any sense. Anyway, then basically after Madara reunites with his partner in crime, Obito, we get more flashbacks to Obito after he was crushed by the boulder, because of course we do. Anyway, I still don't know how he survived and how he suddenly gained complete control of Kamui after unlocking it, like that, and how his Sharingan wasn't crushed again. Like, it just, because here's the thing, like, Obito's flashbacks, they're interesting. They're like there's this whole really cool fight with him seeing Rin dying and then like him going ham against the Mist Ninja. Again, I don't understand how like he managed to use Kamui immediately. It's just like makes no sense. But the thing is, like, again, the problem I have with Obito as a villain is just like, so how it is portrayed in the story is just like, it seems like he's doing what he's doing, and it just became an evil guy pretty much entirely because he missed Rin. Like, rather than seeing the problems with the shinobi world at large, like for example Nagato did, because Nagato, like, he wasn't entirely focused on like the death of his friend Yahiko. He was like sort of had this entire backstory of him, like everything compiling on top of each other, and everything with how he saw the how war really was in the shinobi world, and how these smaller villages were taking advantage, and that's what sort of caused him, and sort of Yahiko was the straw that broke the camel's back. But with Obito, it seems like the entire reason he's doing all of this is to because he wants to see Rin again. And like, again, the problem I have with that is just like, yeah, sure, he says that he says that it's not because Rin entirely, it's also because of like the state of the entire world. But again, just because they keep going back to Rin, though, like they wants to believe, it's not just because of Rin, but they keep going back to Rin. They keep referencing how he misses Rin. And so it's like, it just feels like how it is portrayed in the story. He's doing all this basically entire thing just because he misses Rin, and it's just like, come on, really, just all that for like this one person that, like, I don't know. It's just like, it really does bother me how Obito's motivations, like everything, just fucking everything revolves around his relationship to Rin, who, like, I don't know. It's just, that does definitely bother me. So that does bother me about Obito's motivations. Anyway, back in the present though, disregarding flashbacks, the Ten Tails does appear, and it's complete bullshit that Obito was able to just able to form it without the 8 or 9 tails, and just like a portion of them. And it's like, why didn't you do that earlier if you had the ability to do that without the full 9 tails? It's like complete bullshit, but whatever. The 10 tails appears, and the fight between the Shinobi Alliance and the 10 tails takes place. It's honestly not that interesting. Like, the stakes aren't the highest. Like, yes, more people do die. Fucking Neji dies. Like, he bites the bullets, and I don't understand why he was the one to get killed. I mean, I feel like, for me, it would have been more impactful if, like, for example, Hinata ended up dying. Like, I know she died technically already, but then came back sort of because whatever, Sakura healed her. But yeah, again, I feel like, I don't know, they did Neji dirty. Like, if you were going to, because here's the thing, if you were going to kill off more characters in the war arc, I wouldn't have a problem with Neji dying, but it's just like, you're specifically singling out Neji out of, like, all of the characters to die, and why? Like, the whole point of his character arc was, like, because he was basically believing in Naruto, and that Naruto would, like, basically change the way of the Hyuga once he became Hokage, where, like, members of the branch family wouldn't have to, like, sacrifice themselves for the main family. But that's, in the end, that's exactly what Neji ended up doing, where sacrificing his life for Naruto rather than Hinata, who could have done it. they did Neji dirty, man. They really did him dirty. He did, like, because I don't have a problem that he died, but I have a problem that he's, like, basically the only main character that died. Why him specifically? Why Neji? I don't understand it. Just whatever. But anyway, also, I guess, like, Shikamaru and Ino's dad do also die as well, but, like, they weren't technically really main characters. And, like, I don't know, Naruto finally acknowledges Hinata's existence for the first time in nearly 200 episodes. Like, they hold hands and stuff, and I guess that means they were meant to be. So, yeah, Kishimoto, you're fucking terrible at writing romance. Just gotta say that again. But anyway, the series does, like, the series has jumped the shark before, but, like, all these stealthy ninjas fighting on an open battlefield against a kaiju monster shooting laser bombs everywhere, that just, like, it's really ridiculous. It's, like, gets really out there. And again, like, what I don't understand is, like, the Nine-Tails chakra is supposed to be poisonous. So why was everyone fine when Naruto gave them a Nine-Tails chakra cloak? I don't understand. The Nine-Tails chakra is, like, it's been previously established that it's poison. It's poisonous. Remember when Sakura got, like, struck by the Nine-Tails in the second Sasuke retrieval arc, and, like, the poison was eating away at her? Like, what? But for some reason, when everyone gets the Nine-Tails chakra now, it's fine. That doesn't make any sense. We're in for more bullshit, though, because Sasuke goes with Orochimaru to the Hidden Leaf, where he gets this mask thing that allows him to undo the Reaper Death Seal and revive the fourth Hokage. What? All the four Hokages. What? This whole mask thing, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Because why was this never brought up before? Why do the Hokage need to be revived? Like, because here's the thing. First thing, why did the Hokage need to be revived in the first place? Like, we didn't need to see them come back. Like, I don't know, it's just, again, it feels like they were brought back for fan service, and, like, where we could have, sort of got the contributions that, were given to the story through other people. Like, for example, Sasuke, rather than questioning the Hokage, could have just questioned the village elders about what he wanted to know. Yeah, those guys that, like, are sort of just assholes and never really appear in the story again. Like, they were never really resolved in the end. We could have seen Madara's backstory through Madara's perspective, so we didn't really need to see Hashirama narrating the whole thing. It's just like, first of all, the Hokage didn't need to come back in the first place, but they just bring them back because, it's cool and stuff, and Kishimoto didn't know what to do. But again, it's just such bullshit, because, like, this whole mask thing with undoing the Reaper Death Seal, like, what the fuck was that? It's just like, why did Orochimaru do this dumbass plan of trying to get Tsunade to heal him, when he could have just, like, sent someone to infiltrate the Hidden Leaf and to get the mask back to, get his arms back? It doesn't make any sense why this was never brought up before. And, like, seriously, no one. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating, because, like, Orochimaru never thought to, like, look for this thing. It's so obvious. It's just an ass pull. Like, Kishimoto pulled it out of his ass to basically get the story where he wanted to be. It's such a fucking ass pull. It's just, like, ridiculous. Anyway, basically then after Sasuke hears the story from the Hokage about the history of the world, he stops being a dick and gets to the battlefield and fights against the Ten Tails. Not before he meets up with his previous team, though. And Karen throws all possible character development out of the window to continue simping over Sasuke again after he tried to kill her. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Because, remember, girls, even if he tries to kill you, it's worth it if he's hot, right? Right, Kishimoto? Oh gosh. Jeez. Female characters in the series, why? Anyway, basically, everyone in the series unites to stop the Ten Tails from, emerging and stuff, and reaching its final form. Basically, this whole fight is basically, it's a copy of the fight against Frieza, against characters in Dragon Ball, because the Ten Tails, like, goes through all these different forms. It's basically a continual escalation of power and stakes. And it's just like, anyway, Hiruzen. Anyway, after the Hokage arrive on the battlefield, like, they are obviously, important in the fight, even though, again, I think they weren't really needed. You didn't really need to have that giant ass pull to have them come back. You could have had other ways of, like, dealing with the Ten Tails without them, but, yeah. So they do arrive on the battlefield. It's kind of cool. Hiruzen even fights alongside Orochimaru, who, I guess Orochimaru didn't bear a grudge against him at all, because even though Orochimaru was, like, cursing Hiruzen's name for months after he did what he did to him, like, man, they really neutered Orochimaru, didn't they? Like, he was just, like, this incredibly spiteful and terrifying villain before, and now he's just basically, like, standard morally gray guy. I don't know. It's just like I find Orochimaru just really uninteresting after he was brought back to life. Anyway, I don't understand why Minato, like, it's complete bullshit that he has, like, half of the Nine Tails sealed inside him. There was no point to that. It's just, like, kind of ridiculous that Naruto is even as powerful as he is with, like, half of the Nine Tails. Doesn't make any sense. And Sakura says that she's finally caught up to Sasuke and Naruto after her Byakugo seal activates, even though she has not caught up to them at all, and they're, like, a billion times stronger than her, even after her seal emerges. Like, come on, really? Oh, I finally caught up to them, Tsunade. Yeah, right. Fucking really. Anyway, also Yamato, who has been possessed by Toby or something, the actual Toby, not the Obi Toby, whatever, but he shows up with like a bajillion armed wooden mecha. I don't even know what's going on anymore. This arc is completely going off the rails, and like Toby complains about nobody telling him what it feels like to poo. Whatever. Anyway, I will say one thing that I do like about this whole stretch is that, like, the fight against Obito and Kakashi is really good. It's like a really fantastically choreographed and animated, and like brilliant use of like cutting between flashbacks and the present during the fight. And I just really like that fight. It felt very contained and very personal, which I do really like about it. Which is sort of a break from this whole ridiculous fight against this giant kaiju laser monster. So yeah, I did like the Obito versus Kakashi fight. So yeah, basically after that fight, Obito ends up absorbing the Ten Tails and gains Hack's spinny ball thingy truth-seeking orbs. The fight against him is okay, I guess. Like, it's sort of interesting how he's sort of fighting to keep the Ten Tails under control. And but basically, then what happens is Naruto uses Talk no Jutsu to convince Obito to change his ways. And it works, because of course it does. I gotta say, Talk no Jutsu is a lot less impactful this time around. And again, I kind of call bullshit on it because, like, Obito's whole thing was, like, he was basically obsessed with Rin and wanted to be with her again. But, like, that was basically his whole motivation. And it's just, like, it didn't relate as much to where it did with Nagato's, where his whole thing was, like, they had this connection between Naruto and Nagato where, like, they were both students of Jiraiya and they were both trying to find out the same thing. And it just feels like Obito being Talk no Jutsu, it just wasn't nearly as impactful. And it's just sort of, like, I don't know, it just feels like kind of bullshit to me. I don't understand why they couldn't have just kept him villain straight until the end, but I don't know. Sure, he's redeemed, I guess, whatever. And basically, then there are a bunch more flashbacks to Obito's past, because of course there are. Oh my gosh, so many more fucking flashbacks. Then basically after Obito is defeated, Madara decides to reclaim his title of the Big Bad and becomes the Ten Tails himself, leading the story to be even more drawn out as the fight against this Ten Tails fucker just keeps going as new people try on taking control of it. It's just like, what I don't like is this, like, even going back to the war arc, while the war arc had a lot of problems where, like, it was basically this whole scenario where these guys were fighting against all these reanimation jutsus, it was varied in that it kept swapping around from different locations with all these different characters fighting against these different people, but with the, what I like to call the, what is it called? Infinite Tsukuyomi arc. The entire thing is basically, it turns into this, like, 30, 40 episode fight against just the Ten Tails, except, the Ten Tails keeps changing forms, and then it gets absorbed by Obito, and then it gets absorbed by Madara, and then it gets absorbed by fucking Kaguya in the end. It's just like, the entire thing, there's just like this 40 episode stretch of canon episodes, or maybe even longer, I don't even remember, that they're just fighting against the Ten Tails, and it's just so played out after a while. Like, oh my gosh, it's just, I don't know, it's really gets drawn out, and it's like so many episodes just drag on and on with barely any time having passed in the universe, and where there's just the same nighttime rubbled environment that just becomes incredibly boring after a while. I don't know, to me it just like feels like the story just goes on and on and on against the fighting against the Ten Tails. It's just like gets really boring. So yeah, that's the main problem. It just gets really boring. Also, how the hell was Madara able to seal all the tailed beasts, including Kurama, near instantly, when beforehand it took like 3 days for all the Akatsuki to seal one tailed beast? Like, that makes literally no sense. Like, remember when it took time to do things in the story? Remember when remember when it took time to do things? Remember when it took time to train and accomplish things? Remember when, like, 200 fucking episodes didn't happen over the course of 2 days? Remember when it seemed like the Akatsuki rings were actually important? I remember when the show actually used to have an attention to detail and, like, sort of, oh my gosh, sort of like, having things actually happen without bullshit ass pulls by Kishimoto. He was really struggling with these arcs. You can definitely tell. But anyway, so basically, what happens is also basically Sakura ruins everything by not being able to... Her complete inability to complete the simplest of tasks, just fucking stabbing Obito in the eyeball. Like, seriously, she could have ended the series, like, right then and there, and she had, like, every opportunity to do so. Why the fuck was it taking her so long? And she had so much time to do it, but she didn't. Like, honestly, that entire scene was really dumb. Like, how was Madara able to teleport into the Kamui dimension when he had, like, Kakashi's eye, but Kakashi's eye doesn't have that ability to teleport yourself? And, like, even before, we saw how, like, Obito wasn't able to use Kamui because, he had the 10 tails inside him, and Madara had the 10... It makes no fucking sense. It's a complete asshole, just plot holes galore. And why was Kakashi's eye, like, not going blind from overexposure, from him using it so much when he didn't have the Mangekyo? Why didn't Obito never had the Mangekyo either? Why did he never go blind? None of it makes any sense. Kishimoto's just completely writing out of his ass by this point. Anyway, Naruto dies, but through... Naruto dies when he gets Kurama pulled out of him, but through the power of plot-induced bullshit, he is revived by the Sage of the Six Paths, and is given Hack's powers along with Sasuke that give them the ability to kick the shit out of Madara. And, I guess that whole thing about Naruto being an underdog was always complete bullshit from the beginning because he was secretly the reincarnation of alien ninja Jesus. Oh my gosh, the series. What the fuck is happening right now? Anyway, yeah, so Naruto's basically a reincarnation of alien ninja Jesus, so that's the thing that happened. Anyway, for some reason, Obito isn't dead yet, despite having a tailed beast extracted from him and using Rene Rebirth, both of which are supposed to be fatal. Like, what does it take to fucking kill this guy? He's immortal. He can't die from half of his body being crushed. He can't die from using definitely fatal techniques. Like, I'm calling it right now. Obito is a closet Jashin worshiper. That is literally the only explanation I can think of for why he is still alive. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so... Then we get more fucking flashbacks of Obito and Kakashi during their childhood, because of course we do. And then something interesting finally happens, and Guy Sensei at last goes full 8 gates and unleashes fucking hell upon Madara. It's just, like... And again, I really like that fight because it feels like it is something that has been building up to the entire time, where basically this whole thing where we first were introduced to the 8 inner gates technique in the Chunin exams originally, and we saw how deadly just using the 5 of the inner gates was, and we now we see how it's been built up. The 8th inner gate of death, where it gives you incredible power, but it also kills you, and it's like it's so great to see Guy finally going full on and using the gate of death against Madara. I mean, there are more fucking flashbacks yet again of him with his father that are pretty boring, but again, it's just such an awesome fight and such an awesome moment of him just going ham against Madara. And it's like, it's just such an incredible moment where he sacrificed himself to try to defeat Madara. His sacrifice is completely fucking ruined, though, by the fact that Madara just arrives with his newly acquired Jesus powers to save him. Are you fucking kidding me? All that build up to the Gate of Death, and Guy Sensei just ends up surviving the end? Kishimoto, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? It was so easy to just give Guy this incredibly emotional death, but you just had to use Naruto to, like, revive him back to life in the end. Why? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? What were you thinking, Kishimoto? What the fuck? Oh my gosh, why did you... Kishimoto, come on. Like, this is a fucking war. You went out of your way to have the least amount of casualties as possible. Like, you literally... Guy, who uses the 8 gates of death, which is supposed to be definitely, totally, absolutely fatal, and he survives in the end. What the fuck? My writing is evolving, but backwards. What the fuck? Kishimoto, come on. What were you thinking, man? What were you fucking thinking? Anyway, Naruto and Sasuke fight against Madara, and, Sakura's there too, but does almost nothing and just charges blindly into him, despite having literally nothing to counter his attacks. Like, what the fuck were you thinking, Sakura? What the fuck were you thinking? What the fuck are you all ever thinking? What the fuck were you thinking, Kimocho? We're writing her this way. What the fuck? Anyway, Madara eventually does fulfill his plan and cast the infinite Tsukuyomi and everything, and, bam, that's the end of the arc, whatever. But, Yeah, Infinite Tsukuyomi arc. Not very great. Not very great writing throughout most of it. However, we're still not done talking about the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc, because let's get ready for filler. Yeah, there's quite a bit of filler interspersed between the portions of the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc. There's more flashbacks to Naruto and his story that sorry, not Naruto, Nagato and his story, and the formation of the Akatsuki. It's kind of interesting, but they just have no right being in this section because the story that's actually going on in the present time doesn't relate to it at all. So what's the point of jamming it in here? There's this 12 episode filler arc focused on Kakashi's time in the Anbu Black Ops, and it's fine. There are some interesting looks into his character and also Itachi as well, which was interesting to see. And it also goes more into the foundation, but why is it being shown right in the middle of the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc for no reason? What? I don't understand this. It's just, again, like I said before, the problem with this is if you're going to have all these fillers, but you're going to have no break in the actual plot, there's no time and no good place to actually jam all these fillers into. So it just comes out of nowhere and completely breaks up the flow of the action. And I don't understand, because wouldn't it have made more sense to because some of these flashbacks and filler it can be somewhat interesting, and I think some of it might have been based on a light novel or something by Kishimoto, but I don't understand, why not just make this into a mini series after Naruto ends, where you could sort of bring back people's nostalgia for it, where Naruto has ended, but we can go back and sort of revisit some of the things, we can see Kakashi's story, or we can see I don't understand why they didn't just make it a miniseries, or condense the story and put it at an earlier point where the foundation is still an actual plot point. As is, the story of Kakashi, the Kakashi Chronicles, even though it can be somewhat interesting, it completely breaks up the flow of the narrative, and it has no reason being placed where it is. It makes no sense. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Also, during the fight against the Ten Tails, there's a filler flashback of Mecha Naruto. Yeah, there's Orochimaru creates a robot Naruto and it attacks him, and it's so dumb. Please kill me now. Why did we need this? Why did we need this in the middle of the home stretch of the series? Fuck this. Oh my god. Why did we need Mecha Naruto? Why did we get Mecha Naruto? Why? Oh, kill me now. Kill me now. Anyway, there's also filler episodes about Hinata's past and her relationship with her sister. And they're fine, but they have fuck all to do with what's going on in the present. So why are they being shown? It's just so fucking ridiculous, so frustrating. Oh, seriously, the story is already stretched out enough as it is when you're just dealing with canon material. But now you're introducing all these fillers, and it goes on forever. Oh my gosh. There is this, see, because this is the main problem with filler in Part 3 Naruto. Because the plot barely takes a pause, there's no justifiable reason to introduce filler. So it's so obvious that the anime studio is just stalling for time until it can catch up to the manga, or raise some more funds, or whatever. You could have just made some miniseries after the story had finished, but you had to fucking jam everything into the home stretch and torture the living shit out of your fans. Thanks a lot, Studio Parrot. I think that's how it's pronounced, but whatever. Yeah, not a big fan of how the studio handled this anime, especially by the end. Anyway. Also, the Chunin exams arc, there's this whole arc of 19 episodes where it goes into the Chunin exams that happen during the time skip of between part 1 and part 2 of Naruto, and they're fine, I guess. They're still not anywhere near as interesting or entertaining as the original Chunin exams. I think Fu is pretty likable. I do wish she's the Seven Tails Jinchuriki. I wish we got to see more of her in the canon plotline. Honestly, it's kind of bullshit that Gaara just gave everyone the rank of Chunin, even though the Chunin exams didn't even finish. So that's kind of I don't know, I guess you have to get some way to get more Chunins, because again, like I said before, Chunin exams seem near impossible to pass before, but whatever. So, but again, there's this assassination plotline with Gaara that I don't know, I barely even remember it. I don't care, but it goes on for 19 fucking episodes of this Chunin exams that we don't need to see it, especially not at the point where the story is continuing and you're just breaking up the entire flow by going to a flashback of this 19 episodes Chunin exams arc. I don't understand it, but why did you do it? Why did you do it, Studio Parrot? Why? Parrot. Maybe that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. Anyway, there's more filler flashback bullshit with Konohamaru, more cringe perverted humor. Thanks, I hate it. So yeah, terrible fucking filler, no reason to be there, and the Infinite Tsukiyama arc just drags everything down. And, it's bad, man. It's fucking bad. It's just, fucking terrible. I hate filler in the series. Fuck the filler in the series. Fuck the filler in the series. My gosh. Fuck it. But you see, we're still not done with filler, because there's still more filler to get to through. Hooray! Where we get to, another filler arc, which is the Infinite Tsukuyomi filler, where basically, while everyone is in the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc, having all these trippy dreams of like what they want most to happen in their world, in their life, and so yeah, we still got a bunch more filler bullshit to deal with. There's 2 episodes where 10 dreams about a weird alternate reality where everyone's personalities are switched. It's useless. I fucking hate it. There's 2 episodes. Sorry, there's a Karin dream episode that's basically just a flashback of a backstory we've already seen before, except it's even longer and more dragged out. Then we get to what might be the worst, most painful, most lazy, most excruciating, most useless filler in the entire fucking series. See, while in the Infinite Tsukuyomi arc, there is 19 episodes of an alternate reality inside a book, inside a dream. 19 fucking episodes dedicated to that. Basically, what happens in it is we're basically just seeing a retread of everything that happened previously in the story, except it's mismatched and reordered, with Minato still being the Hokage and not dying, and the Uchiha clan still being alive. It's so fucking useless. I fucking hate it. It's so bad. It's so pointless. Why the fuck would I want to rewatch everything I already watched in the story, except it's just different and worse, and it's the most uninspired piece of garbage fucking filler that I've ever seen. And it's what made me finally stop watching Naruto, by the way, when I watched it for the first time as a 13-year-old. It's just like, what was the point of it? There was no fucking point. It was just so incredibly useless. Oh my gosh, that fucking filler was so bad. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Literally the only worthwhile thing about this filler, this 19-episode fucking filler arc, was that it shows that Naruto definitely could have known about his father and that it was Minato the whole time, and the story still would have worked fine. So that is one improvement over the original story, I will say, but that's really the only thing in this filler that's actually worthwhile. So everything about it is just fucking terrible, it's just so fucking incredibly. Oh, I hate it so fucking much. It's so bad. Why? Why 19 episodes? Why? Why did you make me sit through all of it? What the fuck is wrong with you, Studio Pierrot? Okay, we can get through this. We're so close to being done. Okay, so now the 4th arc and the final arc of the part 3 of Naruto, which I like to call the New World Order arc. Basically, okay, only 50 more episodes left. I can get through this. Okay. So before we get back to the actual plot, we get to one more filler-ish story. It's it's 7.5 episodes long and focuses on Itachi Uchiha. And I swear, if I get any more, the idea of watching any more godforsaken flashbacks with this man automatically tires me the fuck out. But seriously, just more fucking flashbacks about the Uchiha. Because we totally needed to see that. But honestly, they're not that bad. The majority of the flashbacks for Itachi is new material, at least. Some parts are kind of interesting and give us a better look into Itachi's character. And I believe, again, I think it was adapted from a light novel manga side story, but that's just it. It's a side story. Why? It's been 30 fucking episodes since we saw what was going on with the actual plot. Why are you doing this? Why are you giving us a random Itachi story out of nowhere when there's this whole Infinite Tsukuyomi arc thing going on with the main plot? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this, Studio Pierrot? And here's the thing, because there's no fucking excuse for this, because the final chapter of the manga was released months before these episodes were coming out. It's not like the studio was waiting for more material. You know what they were doing? They were just trying to squeeze every damn dollar they could from the anime, completely draining the viewer's interest, with some of them just rage quitting like me. It's just, the way this anime was produced by the end of it was just so fucking bad and horrible. It's what the fuck happened? Oh my gosh. It's not like the actual canon material is much better, though, because now we get to perhaps the dumbest reveal in anime ever, where you know how Madara has been built up to be like the most incredibly powerful, unstoppable force of nature possible, like the true big bad, one of the most iconic anime villains of all time, like in unbelievable levels of smugness. And then Obito, who is still alive and can move somehow, just fucking punches through Madara's chest, and Zetsu reveals, Kono Dioda, haha, Madara, it was me. I was the true villain all along, and my goal was to bring Kaguya back to life. Are you fucking serious? Are you fucking kidding me? And, like, he reveals that, he was, like, manipulating all of shinobi history throughout, like, the entire history of the world. It's like, it's so fucking stupid. I was laughing my ass off throughout this entire reveal, and it's just like, what, Kishimoto, what were you thinking? Like, and we don't get to see a resolution, to Madara's fight, against, Kakashi and, no, sorry, not, Naruto and Sasuke, which would have been, like, actually really interesting to see, the big bad Madara going up against our two main characters. Is like, would have really liked to see that, but we don't get to see that because the whole fight is just cut short by Zetsu coming in out of fucking nowhere and just like revealing, it was me the whole time, whatever. And it's just like, why couldn't Madara just be the final villain? Like, please, just let Madara be the final villain. Like, he was such an incredibly well built up and well realized villain, but then like it doesn't even make any fucking sense. Like, we saw, I'm not going crazy here, right? We saw Madara create Black Zetsu from his chakra. We saw that in a flashback when he was talking to Obito. It's a complete fucking retcon that he was Kaguya's child the whole time and was manipulating all of shinobi history. That's a complete fucking retcon. The series was not building up to that. It made no fucking sense. Oh my gosh, it's fucking ludicrous. And Kaguya, like, what was the point of replacing Madara in the first place? Like, Kaguya is such a lame villain. She has almost no personality whatsoever or intelligence. It doesn't have nearly the same presence or history that Madara did. Like, why? It's so boring. Oh my gosh. And of course, because it's Naruto, what do we have to expect but more fucking flashbacks of Kaguya's backstory and the backstory of her children and her grandchildren? And like, for fuck's sake, there's an entire fucking flashback of Hagoromo building a fucking bridge, for fuck's sake. What is happening? Why are we watching an entire episode of Hagoromo building a fucking bridge? While the Naruto and Sasuke versus Kaguya fight is going on. Why? Why did you do it? Why did you do it, Naruto? Oh my gosh, but we're still not done, because we get yet another fucking flashback episode again about Naruto and friends trying to discover what's under Kakashi's mask again. Like, we've already seen this. Like, okay, admittedly, much like the first Kakashi mask episode, it's honestly kind of funny, and like it's cool because like the first Kakashi mask episode, it was kind of lame because there were these like really lame and cringy villains that I didn't like, but in this episode. This episode is pretty cool, and I think I actually like it maybe better than the original episode. And like, there's this cool twist at the end where the characters like get to see Kakashi's face without actually realizing it's his face. But like, so that's kind of cool. But like, again, why is that flashback placed here of all places? During the fight against Kaguya. Why is it being placed here? Why are we getting to see a fucking Kakashi mask episode right here? The placement of filler episodes in part 3 is just, it's fucking insanity. What were they thinking? Oh my gosh, it's so fucking stupid. Anyway, whatever. Anyway, past the Kakashi mask episode, we finally get back to the actual fight between Team 7 and Kaguya. It's honestly pretty lame, and there isn't anything particularly interesting or memorable about it. Like, honestly, I will never return to any part of this fight because I just do not care about it. It's like it's incredibly uninteresting. It doesn't even have that cool use of like powers and stuff, except for the sexy jutsu bit. That was honestly really hilarious. I really did laugh at that because it just like comes so out of nowhere and just like out of left field, and just like really did like that. But other than that, Obito is still alive somehow, but finally fucking dies over the course of an entire episode with you guessed it, more fucking flashbacks. But then he returns from the dead to give Kakashi the full power of both Mangekyou Sharingan, so he gets a perfect Susanoo. Hey, here's a question: Why didn't those eyes ever go blind from overuse, huh? then after Kaguya is defeated, the Sage of Six Paths summons every Kage in history back from the dead to bring Team 7 back to their dimension. Sure, okay, I'll buy anything at this point. And they defeat Kaguya as quickly as they introduced her, and Madara even gets redeemed in the end, and good lord, the last two episodes of this, the last two arcs of this series are pieces of shit, aren't they? Man, Kishimoto seriously dropped the ball in concluding this series. Anyway, it's not over yet, though, because there's still one... I will say, there is still one diamond in the rough left to be had with this series, because, like, even though the Kaguya fight is, like, completely lame and just a complete missed opportunity to have them fight Madara, there is still, the final battle between Naruto and Sasuke is... It's fantastic. It really is. Like, that was such an incredibly great fight. And, like, because here's the thing. Unlike the fight against Kaguya, the show was just building to this rematch between Naruto and Sasuke for so long. And, like, the entire fight was just so incredibly fantastic. The way they used their, the way they used all their abilities to just go completely all out, and seeing how much powerful they've become since their first fight. And, we're basically, and again, it's just so much more epic feeling than the fight against Kaguya, which was really lame in a lot of parts, honestly. And, like, just, like, everything about it, the sound design, the animation, the spectacle, the emotion, the brutality, it's, like, the fight is so fantastic, and, just completely outranks, the fight against Kaguya in terms of quality. And it's just, like, I just absolutely love the, how this fight concludes, where basically Naruto and Sasuke are just, after they've completely tired themselves out and used every bit of energy they have, they just, like, giving every bit of effort left, like, slowly swing on each other at the end, where there's just, like, this long shot of, like, this long dragged-out shot of just, like, going closer towards them, where they're just, like, in this slow, dragged-out slug match. It's so good. It's just, like, beautiful, absolutely. And, like, and I mean, basically at the end, where they do their final Chidori and Rasengan clash, they basically blow their arms off, and, okay, I don't really see the point of that. Like, Naruto just ends up getting his arm back anyway because of Hashirama Cells bullshit, because, of course, you know, Hashirama Cells can apparently do fucking anything in the series, like, whatever. But anyway, so, yeah, basically what happens, Sasuke ends up getting Talk no Jutsu'd in the end, and surrenders to Naruto, and all the tailed beasts are set free. Well, except for Kurama and Gyuki, because I guess freedom doesn't matter as long as you like the person whose stomach you're trapped inside of. And then, world peace is achieved, I guess. Hooray, whatever. Anyway, so, however, there are still some more flashbacks first, though, because, you know, that show all of the characters' parts, you know, because basically we get a bunch of flashbacks of all these characters in the past, because, you know, because we've never fucking seen that before, huh? Flashbacks, right? Anyway, so, yeah, we get that, but then, anyway, after the flashbacks, we get, the last 17 episodes of the anime are, they're kind of weird, because, like, it's split up into 3 arcs that aren't adapted from, I don't think they're adapted from the main manga, but I'm pretty sure they're adapted from side stories or something. And again, like, why couldn't you just end the fucking series after it was already done? Why did you have to get us, see all these, like, side stories? Just do mini-series in the end after the series is already done. I just don't understand why you would do this, but whatever. Anyway, so, talking about the actual story arcs, Sasuke's 5-episode story arc is, it's fine, I guess. Like, I have no idea why Orochimaru and Kabuto weren't executed immediately after the war, or put in forever prison for, like, all the terrible war crime shit they did, but whatever. You know, Sasuke, this arc is actually legitimately, like, good in some points. Like, Sasuke goes through a legitimate character arc, like, working through his trauma by meeting someone with a similar past, and, like, the idea of exploding humans it's unique enough to where it seems like an actual threat that Sasuke can't just straight up overpower, because, you know, obviously he's incredibly powerful, but, like, this threat of, you know, unique humans not being able to control themselves, that's kind of interesting. So I did like this arc in, some points, you know, and it's kind of good. Shikamaru's, 5-episode story arc is fine, I guess. You know, you know I love me some Shikamaru, but I don't know, he doesn't seem to just have... He just doesn't seem to have the same tactical brilliance in this story that he usually does. I don't know. There was less Shikamaru being badass in this story than I would have expected. But anyway, the story has interesting ideas, and it deals with the relationship between, like, feudal lords and shinobis, and, like, actually showcases conflict of how Naruto's vision of a peaceful world has created some unintentional consequences. The problem is none of it goes anywhere, and, like, the whole feudal lord stuff it's so peripheral, because throughout the canon, like, it doesn't ever seem to matter. It seems like throughout the whole story, like, the only thing that matters is, like, the shinobi and their impact on everything. But it, like, never goes into the other aspects of the world, where, like, with the kings and the feudal lords and all that stuff. Like, it seems too little too late for me, because sort of bring it up in this filler arc, or side story or whatever, I guess. And problem is none of it really goes anywhere, and it's just and I can't stress enough how Kishimoto needed to do a much better job about fleshing out his world and the politics in it outside of just the ninja villages, because it seemed like the story is so laser focused on that, it just like doesn't give the rest of the world time to get much focus. But anyway, and finally we have the final story arc of the series, which is Naruto's wedding. It goes on for 7 episodes and it's boring as fuck. All it is, basically all this arc is it's Naruto's friend looking for a wedding gift to give him. For 7 fucking episodes! And like, it's just like, it's so dull, it drags on forever, and it's like, there's no point in it all. And like, apparently Orochimaru is like, apparently just walking around the village, trolling Yamato, and running away from bugs. Hey, remember when this guy used to be one of the most terrifying villains in anime history? I remember, before he turned into a fucking comic relief character for no reason. Like, what? Whatever. I don't know. This 7 episode stretch of the end is just incredibly fucking boring and tedious. Like, and like, what's so weird to me is the main character, Naruto, who the series is like named for, has not gotten any focus for 20 episodes, for crying out loud. Like, what? And one thing that also bothers me is, like, why didn't we ever see Naruto becoming Hokage in the end? Like, by the time the series ends, Kakashi is still Hokage. Like, it was always Naruto's dream to become, like, Hokage from the very first episode, and he doesn't even become Hokage by the end of the series. I don't understand. Like, yeah, of course, in the future he does become Hokage and, like, Boruto and all that stuff, but I haven't watched Boruto, so don't ask me about it. But, yeah, I don't understand. It's just, like, and so that does bother me. Another thing that bothers me is, like, it really says a lot when there are 7 episodes dedicated to getting Naruto and Hinata wedding gifts, but literally no screen time whatsoever dedicated to actually showing their relationship. I mean, seriously, Naruto and Hinata's relationship, it was not built up at all, literally at all. Like, Hinata basically continually simps over Naruto the entire series, and Naruto barely addresses her existence whatsoever. So, like, oh my gosh, this series is so fucking terrible at writing romance. Oh my gosh. What actual build-up was there to Hinata and Naruto getting together? I mean, she confessed her love to him, and then the two of them didn't share a single conversation for, like, 180 episodes. But then they held hands or something, I guess. So, you know, I guess it was meant to be. That's not even addressing the toxic nonsense that was Sasuke x Sakura. Like, seriously, Sasuke x Sakura is, like, one of the worst ships of all time I have ever seen. Sasuke constantly, you know, hits home how he doesn't give a shit about Sakura and finds her annoying, and Sakura continually simps over him for, like, no reason other than the fact that he's hot, and it's, like, it's so bad, and it's, like, Sasuke tries to fucking kill her, and in the end, they just get together in the end, and, like, she has a child with him in, like, Boruto and whatever, and, like, it's so bad, and it's, like, again, it's, like, again, you could say, oh, well, there's other series where, like, for example, let's take She-Ra and the Princess of Power. I know it's a weird comparison to me making to Naruto, but, like, in She-Ra and the Princess of Power, like, there is also sort of a toxic relationship where basically Catra is basically, like, in love with Adora, and they get together in the end, but, like, throughout the whole series, Catra does, like, a lot of really terrible things and, like, tries to kill Adora in multiple junctures. So you could say, oh, well, like, why don't people, like, constantly hate on that relationship? Well, the reason is because, like, first of all, their connection goes deeper than just, like, one character finding the other character hot and the other character not giving the shit about them. Like, they've obviously been friends and, like, had a really close bond for a long time. So, first of all, there's that aspect of it where they have this, like, close personal relationship where they're, like, really focused on each other. And the other thing is, like, because Catra is such a fucking tsundere that, like, basically she is, like, doing all these horrible things basically because she's, like, it's all due to because of her love of Adora, that she's, like, doing all these really spiteful things because she was so hurt by the fact that, you know, Adora ended up abandoning her in the first place. So that, because it just works so much better there. Whereas with Sakura and Sasuke, where is the connection? Where is, like, the deep emotional bond? Like, Sakura thought that Sasuke was hot. Yip-de fucking do. Like, what pretext was there for them actually becoming in a relationship in the end? There was nothing. It was nothing. Oh my gosh, I hate fucking Sakura and Sasuke. Just one of the worst ships of all fucking time. Oh my gosh. I guess according to Kishimoto, having a crush on someone as a 10-year-old means that you're just destined to be your true love or whatever. What the fuck? Uh, so that's it. We're finally done. We're finally fucking done. At last, I've finally finished talking about every single aspect of the Naruto anime, and I can finally, go and watch the sunset on a grateful universe. Oh, gosh. So, when all is said and done, what did I think about this anime? What did I think of the Naruto series? Well, it's complete shit. No, just kidding. But for real, seriously, when 40% of a show is nearly unwatchable garbage, can you really say it's a good show? I mean, even if the rest of the show is great, because, here's the thing. I'm reviewing the Naruto anime. I watched every single episode of the Naruto anime. I didn't skip any of it. So I watched all those fucking fillers. And, when so much of the anime is just, such complete garbage, and it's just, there's no point to it, and it's just, it completely drags down the story, and just, when the constant flashbacks and padding and the filler weigh the story down so much and the anime down so much, if it wasn't for because if I was reviewing the Naruto manga where it didn't have those aspects, then yeah, I'd probably be a lot more favorable to this series. But again, I'm not reviewing the manga. I'm reviewing the anime. I haven't read the manga. I've only watched the anime. And because when I was watching the series originally, I didn't know what filler was. This was my first time watching anime. I didn't understand that all these episodes, it was based off Japanese comics, and a bunch of the episodes weren't a bunch of the episodes were just anime only, and they were just basically there to buy time for the manga to catch up. But I didn't understand that when I was first watching. When I was first watching Naruto, I just thought that the episodes were produced because the studio wanted to produce them. But no, you can obviously tell throughout so much of the fillers that no one wanted to fucking make these, and by extension, no one wants to fucking watch them because they're so boring and terrible. But it's just it drags the story down so much. Just the constant flashbacks and the filler and the fucking gosh, it's really bad. It's real bad, guys. This series is honestly it's a lot worse than other anime. For example, I watched Dragon Ball Z and the Dragon Ball series after watching Naruto, and yeah, there's padding, there's flashbacks, there's filler in that anime, but it is not as egregious as it is in Naruto. In Naruto, it's so unbelievably atrocious. It's just oh my gosh, fuck. Anyway, in the end, but yeah, there are definitely some good things to like about the series. There's some good characters, definitely. I like Naruto. He's engaging. I feel like he can sort of resolve things too easily with his talk no jutsu and his hacks. Oh shit. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about the alarm there. I actually really need to go soon, so I need to really wrap this up, this recording. But anyway, so yeah, there are some good characters. Naruto, he's cool at points. He sort of does get on my nerves sometimes with him sort of being able to solve things too easily and using shadow clone hacks. Sakura, she's pretty much useless throughout the entire thing. I really don't like her. Planning on coming out with a video soon, or by the time, or it might have been already out by now by the time I release this video, I'm not sure, but basically rewriting her character. Sasuke, he annoys me at points, with how he acts, but I do still think he's pretty interesting, and I found him pretty engaging throughout the thing. But Kakashi, definitely my favorite character of the main four. I just really like Kakashi. He's just really cool, and just really like Kakashi. So yeah, basically, I'm just so glad with this series that seasonal anime are a thing now. It's just it was completely fucking ridiculous how anime was produced like this in the past, where you would be required to get an episode out every week, and that's just such a ridiculous distribution model. And I'm really glad that a lot of anime are seasonal now. We're basically Attack on Titan, My Hero Academia, Seven Deadly Sins. They come out with an anime season maybe every year where they have more time to get allow the manga to catch up. So that's great. Honestly, in my opinion, we really need a Naruto Kai where basically you can condense the story into you can condense this whole story into basically 300 episodes rather than the outrageous 720 that we originally got. We did not need that many fucking episodes. Just we need a Naruto Kai in the future, much how we sort of got a Dragon Ball Z Kai. So that would be, I would really like to see that. Honestly, I'd watch that. Just sort of cutting through all the filler bullshit and flashbacks and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Honestly, apart from the filler, though, there's still like I said before, there still is a bunch of terrible things about the story that come from the manga, like especially near the end, like where there's just like, oh my gosh, so many fucking plot holes and inconsistencies all over the place. In the end, I think part one of Naruto, it was a good setup. Wasn't great in my opinion. Part two is where Naruto peaked, as I said before, but part three just completely falls apart with like insane power creep, horrific pacing, lack of tension, ass pulls, inconsistencies, missed opportunities, and terrible character writing everywhere. Like the series just truly lost its way. And even if you ignore the fillers, the ending stretch just really, it only has a few standout moments and episodes sandwiched in between a complete mess. So that's really, the series really dropped the ball at the end, and Kishimoto with it. Still, I don't want to hate on it too much because, like I said, there is a lot to like about Naruto. Like the battle tactics, characters like Shikamaru, Gaara, great villains, iconic fights, and a lot of good mystery and reveals too. Like I think that's an underrated aspect of Naruto, where there's honestly a lot of good, really good mystery about where and reveals too, where you're trying to figure out where stuff is going on. Not to the same level of Attack on Titan, where that show is just basically one giant mystery box before you get to the ultimate reveal in the end. But yeah, so also I have to give credit because Naruto did introduce me to a lot of other great anime, so that's a cool thing that I can give it credit for. Overall, though, Naruto still certainly isn't great. It has tons of problems, and even if you end up skipping all the fillers, I still have serious reservations about recommending it. Overall, in the end, I would give Naruto and Naruto Shippuden together a score of 43 out of 100. So, yeah, below average, where 50 would be average. Alright then, well, anyway, I really gotta run, so this has been the Aromantic Shipper. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, and as always, remember, just because you can't feel love doesn't mean you shouldn't want other people to. Bye!